Animals and time perception. Small animals experience time differently than we do. Salamanders, lizards, and other small creatures perceive the world in slow motion compared to humans and larger animals. This is because they process information quickly in their tiny brains, which makes time feel like it's passing more slowly for them than it does for us. Is water actually wet? Number 1, water is a liquid. Number 2, it can make things wet. So, while water itself isn't wet, it has the ability to make other things wet. The effects of wearing a tie. Wearing a tie too tightly can restrict blood flow to the brain by about 7.5%. This can lead to symptoms like dizziness, headaches, and even nausea. Ties can also raise eye pressure and are notorious carriers of germs, making them a potential health risk if worn too tight or too frequently. The world's oldest dog. The oldest dog ever recorded, Bluey, lived for an impressive 29.5 years. For comparison, most dogs live between 10 to 15 years, making Bluey's longevity remarkable. The sun's sound. The sun does create sound in the form of pressure waves. These waves have wavelengths measuring hundreds of miles, making them far too long for the human ear to detect. So, while the sun sings, we can't hear it. Oldest cat on record. Cream Puff holds the record as the oldest cat, living to 38 years and 3 days. This is remarkable, as most cats live around 15 years, making her lifespan a true outlier. Earth's tallest mountain isn't Mount Everest. Although Everest is the tallest mountain above sea level, Hawaii's Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa volcanoes actually measure taller in total height when factoring in the part of the mountain that's underwater. These two volcanoes reach up to 10.2 kilometers compared to Everest's 8.8 kilometers. Octopuses have arms, not tentacles. Surprisingly, octopuses don't have tentacles. They have arms. In fact, in scientific terms, tentacles only refer to limbs that have suckers at the end, like those of squids, while octopus arms have suckers down most of their length. Death by laughter. As strange as it sounds, intense laughter can actually be fatal in rare cases. Excessive laughter can trigger heart attacks or suffocation due to disrupted breathing patterns. It's a reminder that sometimes there can be too much of a good thing. Number 1. Ants don't have lungs. Number 2. Ants don't have lungs. Ants breathe through spiracles, small openings along their bodies, which allow oxygen to diffuse in directly. This adaptation supports their small size and keeps them oxygenated without the need for lungs. Number 1. Starfish don't have bodies. Number 2. Starfish don't have bodies. Along with other echinoderms, think sea urchins and sand dollars, their entire bodies are technically classed as heads. Number 1. The moon looks upside down in the southern hemisphere. Number 2. The moon looks upside down in the southern hemisphere, compared to the northern hemisphere anyway. This means that the man in the moon is upside down in the southern hemisphere and looks more like a rabbit. Number 1. Bacteria on your skin cause your itches. Specifically, bacteria known as Staphylococcus aureus can release a chemical that activates a protein in our nerves. Number 2. Bacteria on your skin cause your itches. This sends a signal from our skin to our brains, which our brain perceives as an itch. Number 1. There's no such thing as a straight line. Zoom in close enough to anything and you'll spot irregularities. Even a laser light beam is slightly curved. Number 2. There's no such thing as a straight line. Zoom in close enough to anything and you'll spot irregularities. Even a laser light beam is slightly curved. Number 1. Most ginger cats are male. Number 2. Most ginger cats are male. This is because the ginger gene is found on the X chromosome, meaning female cats would require 2 copies of the gene to become ginger, whilst males only need 1. Hit the like and subscribe button for more interesting facts.